let's greet our online spectators on this occasion. The next session is going to be hosted by Integral Forex. It is going to be titled The Sustainability Agenda of the Leader. Now, Cenk Ulukartal is going to deliver the opening session speech. Esteemed participants, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to greet you. On this fourth occasion of Uludağ Economy Summit, I am glad to be with you. Soon, our valuable panelists are going to talk about sustainability. And we wanted to be the host of this session exclusively because just as it was in the past, now and in the future, leadership and sustainability will continue to be our key factors. In the business world, a leader tries to maximize share values. In the meantime, he is trying to create a sustainable environment in which economic justice and culture of democracy and peace is sustained. Transparency, accountability, fairness, and responsibility should be internalized by a leader as basic principles. So we also revolve around these principles. Our vision is to invest abroad and domestically for global peace. In this age of technology and communication, no corporation can afford to ignore these principles. We are well aware of that. This is why internalization of all processes is a key and core element in our strategies. We are working towards becoming top rankers in indexes of international institutions like the World Bank. Only then can we keep striving for meeting goals set for the year 2023. We believe that Uludağ Economy Summit is going to also touch this point with new horizons breaking ahead of us in this next session. Thank you for the opening speech. This session is titled The Sustainability Agenda of a Leader. Our panelists are going to be Cansen, Symes from TÜSİAD, Bülent Eczacıbaşı from Eczacıbaşı Holding, Agah Uğur, CEO and member of the board of Borusan Holding, Sani Şener, CEO of TAV, and İdil Yiğitbaşı, chair of the board of Yaşar Holding. And this session is going to be moderated by Erkan Akdemir, CEO of Avea. Dear panelists and guests, welcome. In this session, we are going to talk about the concept of sustainability, which is a term you have been hearing quite frequently in recent years, probably. Sustainability is meeting current needs without consuming your future. In other words, it is maintaining your presence while consolidating your ecosystem all the time for a brighter future for next generations. This point of view, this approach means a lot of accountability for us because we are responsible for economy and for future generations. Economic, environmental, and social sustainability should be located in the centric focal point of our lives. We cannot ignore or delay that because global population is increasing day by day and their needs of transportation, communication, shelter, and so on keep growing in size and magnitude. Doing more with less is not the discourse of tough times only. It should be our daily discourse. To fulfill that discourse, we have to recycle, we have to consume without destruction. Investing in renewable resources and allocating our energy needs in this domain is a priority in this sense. And it is also the priority that gathered us together in this room today. And our valuable panelists are going to talk about various aspects of the topic. So without further ado, let's start with Mr. Bülent. As a matter of fact, this question is addressed towards all of our speakers. We are going to have 2 rounds for them to answer. However, if you want to add anything else apart from the scope of my question, please feel free to do that. The final speaker is going to be Mrs. Cansen in this round. She is going to wrap up. So, Mr. Bülent, what do you think are there in the sustainability agenda of the leader? What are the outstanding opportunities? And what does it mean to focus on sustainability? Thank you, dear moderator. I will start mainly talking about fighting climate change because sustainability has an environmental aspect too. Lately, fighting climate change has been an item on our agendas everywhere, and we are beginning to grasp the magnitude of this threat. Above all, I would first like to invite everyone to a specific event. This was delivered to me by my colleagues in the United Nations. They learned about my panel participation. I will hand these invitations to some of our panelists and some of our attendants. After you receive this invitation, you don't even have to follow this panel anymore. You can check your emails, log in on your Facebook account, and so on. You will see both sides of this invitation. It is a boarding card for the second Noah's Ark. In Turkish, it says, "We are waiting for your contribution for the 2015 Climate Change Conference. But don't worry. Points like carbon pricing may not be concerning you. The low carbon economy issue may not be relevant to you. So if that is the case for you, you are invited to get a place on Noah's Ark." Overall, climate change is a fact. It is happening. It's a phenomenon. This is the first thing I want to say. Secondly, climate change stems from human activity. It's an anthropogenic activity. And third, climate change is such a serious threat that it could end the presence of mankind or cause quite big disasters. I think we all agree on this issue. Is it so? We know there are some other people who disagree. Among these disagreeing parties, there are some great names like people shaping American policies. Maybe there are some of your close friends. I have such a close friend, for example. He is a respected, reputable businessman of Turkey, and we cannot reach an agreement. I sent him some articles which are convincing, and he returns to me. Oh, I see. We are going to have our feet wet at some time in the future. It is all there is to it. I think there are some other people, I think 11 people to be exact, who think like that. You may ask how I know this. Among scientists, the ratio of agreement is 98%, and in the circle of science, it is not a disputable point. It is like evolution or relativity. And climate change is a point of agreement in the world of science like that. I think the same ratio would be applicable to the audience in this room, and 11 people would be an average number of disagreeing parties. But in general population, the people who are not convinced or who are not aware have a far greater ratio. It seems that if it goes on like this, it will be difficult to follow advices of our elders. Yes, our feet will get, but we won't be able to rest easy because the sun will be hotter than ever in the meantime. Due to these reasons, in an economy summit, we have to talk about this big threat. Leaders are aware of the problem, and maybe we could make references to some of them. This year in the Davos summit, climate change was mentioned. Ban Ki-moon, the UN General Secretary, talked and said we are the final generation which might be able to reverse the course of climate change. And he's asked, what will other people, what will next generations think about us if we can't do it? And French President Hollande was there. Obama similarly mentioned climate change in his national address speech. He said it was a national security problem. Our Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoğlu made interesting points. He made also a speech in 2011 as the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Back then, he also pointed out what a big problem it was. And after that, he followed with pointing out to a new economic paradigm in order to change things. He said if mankind did not have a future, politics did not mean a thing. Based on that, we may answer the question in a similar way. Why are we talking about climate change? Because without the future of a mankind, there can't be a future of economy. Ban Ki-moon also made another speech in January this year. This speech was titled, How Can We Render 2015 a Historical Year? In this speech of him, he said in brief that if we were unable to reverse the threat, the things we would suffer would be far greater than we could afford. I will try to underline two opportunities before I conclude. One is a political opportunity. By the end of this year, there is going to be a UN climate summit in Paris, and it is going to be the final chance of mankind, I believe. In this summit, the UN would like all nations to reach a consensus on climate change with consequences on limiting carbon emissions. If this goal can be achieved, maybe we can reach a historical milestone. Throughout this process, it is our duty to encourage political decision makers. In that speech of Ban Ki-moon, he addressed businessmen. He said, you should start talking, you should be the pioneers. We, as businessmen, opinion leaders, and press members should play an active role. And I also would like to underline an economic opportunity. Points like sustainability create a lot of business opportunities. Businessmen are aware. They make investments on clean energy, waste management, and renewable energy sources. But the question is, are these investments adequate for prevention of climate change? Actually, the answer is negative. Although you may be making investment, it is still not sufficient. We need a lot more efforts. So here is another question. Can we tap on the power of market economies? And the answer to that is no as well. There is an important factor underlying the answer. There is a negative externality, as statisticians call it. There is a great cost which cannot be reflected on accounts. And as long as that happens, efficiency of resource distribution is disrupted. 90,000 tons of carbon dioxide is emitted into the atmosphere, and as we don't see it visually, we don't think of it as a cost item. But there should be an economic system which holds emission parties responsible and accountable for their emissions. And we believe that market economy is the way to go to achieve that. Carbon pricing can be applied in order to charge polluting parties for their carbon emissions so that we can have a more efficient resource allocation too. So this is the end of my first round speech.
Agah Bey, sizle devam edelim. Bu davete icabet.
So will you actually get on the Noah's Ark? There was an invitation for you. How many minutes do I have? Do I have 15 minutes? Perfect. You will be listening to me 15 minutes, so you will be doomed. I would like to extend my gratitude to each and all of you before starting to my speech. Starting from 2011, we are actually publishing and issuing a sustainability report, and those reports are in the size of 40 to 50 pages, and I am the representative of such an institute. But I believe, although we did have some sort of a progress, we are still at the beginning of such sustainability reports and sustainability issues. In this panel, I believe that I will be defining the sustainability issue. Okay, I do have 10 minutes then. Because the general terms like innovation, sustainability can be consumed without understanding what they really mean. And if I can explain you my perspective of sustainability, then maybe I can do some sort of contribution to that summit. That is how I planned my speech indeed. As it was already mentioned by Mr. Eczacıbaşı, sustainability has some impacts on the environmental, social, and economic level. It is not easy for companies to apply for sustainability. Everybody tries to establish a sustainable business, but in terms of have an holistic approach for sustainability, everybody has huge challenges. And we had many challenges, and in order to establish our order of business, we have collaborated with a consultancy company. And there is three pillars of this sustainability: social responsibility, corporate governance, and the ecologic sustainability. And under that three pillars, we have three subtitles for each pillar. For the ecological sustainability, we have the right and the optimum usage of the resources by cutting down the usage of the utilities and by converging into new technologies. We believe that we can optimize our process. The second subtitle of the ecological sustainability is the waste management. This waste management issue should be tackled in the optimum manner. And the third subtitle is the emission, especially the greenhouse gas emissions. If these GHG emissions can be reduced, then we believe that we can provide the ecological sustainability. As it comes to the social responsibility, we have a responsibility for our employees. Every company claims that our employees are our biggest resource, but these approaches can differ from discourse to discourse. For example, the occupational health and safety is the most important factor for our employees, and we should have a just business culture, and the equality of the opportunities should be the core value of our business culture. And the third thing will be to train our employees and actually support them with their personal development. In terms of social responsibility, we have two more subtitles: corporate sponsorship. Corporate sponsorship is being applied very well by the Turkish businessman, but the corporate sponsorship should not focus only on the public relations manner. Those corporate sponsorships should be everlasting and providing a contribution to the problems of the communities. I'm not only speaking about funds or providing money to the community to tackle their problems, but what I'm saying that we should activate our employees to deal with the social problems. We have, for example, Ocean Lovers Group, and through that group we are involving in the voluntary works in many of the NGOs. You might have very good intentions while you are doing social responsibility projects, but if you are asking for 15 minutes earlier to go from work just for the social responsibility, then it might actually damage the whole good intention. So this issue, this social responsibility issue, is one of the main responsibilities and one of the main duties of the progressive and the huge Turkish companies. In the third part, in the economic part, the corporate management, first of all, you should create values, but these values should be everlasting and your business models should be permanent. Everybody will have their own method of creating their own values. Customer orientedness, using the right strategy, and generating a new business model will be focusing on the productivity. Risk management also matters. We are continuing to our operations in Russia or the US, so there are many financial risks in those different countries and there are some political risks, and managing all of those risks are actually a different profession right now. And managing the risks in the right manner is quite essential for generating the right value. And complying with the legal environment and having the right work ethics will be of essential importance, and you should comply with the work ethics in order to be a role model. Let me give you an analogy. When there is a red light on the traffic light on the daytime, even the police is stopping. But when it is 2 a.m. in the morning, when there is nobody around the street, if the red light is on, if you can stop, then it means that you are complying with the work ethics. Okay, then now I'm concluding the first part of my speech. I presented you three important pillars for providing the sustainability, but your employees and the community should believe in those three pillars. And this is actually a progress. You cannot achieve such a huge success on one day. We are calculating our emissions, we are setting some targets for the future. We are just on the beginning of this journey to provide sustainability, but these three pillars will be the mainstones of the sustainability journey. Thank you. I would like to proceed with Mr. Sani. He is coming from another sector. He is working in a sector which provides services to millions of people. We are in the airport business, as you all know, and our sector is a sector which is highly criticized for the environmental sustainability because 2% of the carbon dioxide emissions are coming from the airport operations, and this is a real fact. It is 2%. But this actually puts us in front of the lights, and we know that we have to be much more sensitive about this, and we are doing our best. I attended to a congress in the Far East, and from the ICT sector, a representative from the ICT sector said that the internet actually causes 3% of carbon dioxide emissions. For example, when you just push the enter button, with that carbon dioxide emission, you can even heat up a cup of coffee. The plane producers are investing a lot of money to the materials which are going to be used on the body of the plane, and they are trying different kind of fuels. And in the airports, when we are using the taxi, for example, the planes are not using their all of engines, they are using a single engine. And when we are operating those terminals and the airports, we have some labels. For example, we call the green water for the rainwater, and we are having some recovery and recycle system for such waters. And on annual basis, we are saving 27,000 tons of water. In our Izmir airport, we used photovoltaic panels, and it covers approximately 5,300 square meters. It is not a very big number, but it can actually clean the carbon dioxide emissions of 10 plants. And in Istanbul, we are benefiting from 3 generation systems and cooling, heating up systems and the cooling system. All of those technologies are providing a lot of contribution to this environmental problem. We are giving importance to this issue because as we are working in the airport sector, everybody is criticizing us. I would like to be fair with you. And the title of this session, as you know, the sustainability agenda of the leaders. In order to be successful, first of all, you have to set up some targets and you have to recruit the right person for your business. But after that, you have to implement your principles. If your implementation is not efficient, then those targets mean nothing. And when it comes to the implementation, the leaders are really important. For example, just a couple of minutes ago, the awards were given to the companies with the higher numbers of women employees. And there is a certification process which is actually given to the companies if they provide equal opportunities to the women. And we are following those activities and certificates all the time. And those institutes are also saying that I will provide certificate to the companies, the certificate of sustainability index. And while we are working on to get that certificate, we are internalizing that process. For example, with regards to the occupational safety and health, there is another certificate, and when we started to work on getting those certificates, the internalization process is starting. If your employees and if as a leader you cannot internalize those principles, it is not going to be possible to implement those principles in real life. When we are speaking about sustainability, the word green comes to our mind. But of course, environmental sustainability is important, but economic and also the social sustainability matters a lot. And those different kinds of sustainabilities cannot be separated from each other. When I was giving you some examples, I said that we saved some resources, and our savings reached to 7 million TLs. And our enlightening system was converted into the LED systems, and on an annual basis, we saved 2,000 kilowatts of energy. So the environmental sustainability and the economic sustainability should be considered together because they are directly correlated with each other. What about economic sustainability? There is an important fact that in the companies which are founded in 1933 in Turkey and which are registered to the Chamber of Commerce in Istanbul does not exist anymore. So this is a huge problem in terms of the economic sustainability of our companies. We know that there are many social conflicts, economic and the global crisis. In such a global crisis, it is not important to survive, but it is also important to grow and improve your profits. This is called smart growth. The risk management matters in that sense. For example, I am an authoritarian CEO, but the risk management, the audit committee, I cannot intervene in their process. The risk committee members says to me that if you are going to assess the depth of a river, you shouldn't assess the depth of the river with your 2 feet on the river. You should actually assess it with 1 feet on the river and 1 feet on the ground. Many people are working in that audit and risk management committee, but we cannot intervene in their process. It is just a method of crowdsourcing, and it is really important for providing the economic sustainability. Recently, Bülent Bey actually gave us some tickets as an invitation to the Noah's Ark. And here there are a lot of, for example, companies to whose tenders we were actually existed as a participant. So while we are thinking about the environmental sustainability, it is not possible not to think about economic sustainability.
Buraya konsantre olun.
So I mean, this is why I am speaking all of those together. Yes, last year we attended to that tender. One of the most important industrial institute's representative, İdil, Miss İdil, is with us. On behalf of Yaşar Holding, with our dyeing products, we are working in the dye products, and we are also active in the food industry. We have 150 selling points for the food industry, and we have 15,000 selling points for the dye industry, and we are providing services and products to our customers. When we assess the 1970s, we see a period in which the produced milk cannot even be sold in Turkey. There was a supply, but there was no demand. And our founders believed that those produced milk should be drunk by the children, and as a result of that, the Pınar Süt, the milk company, was founded. I believe this foundation of this company was really important for the sustainability, because at those times there was no demand for the milks, but we actually packaged those milk products, and we actually prevented such a waste for the milks in Turkey. So just the foundation of the Pınar Süt, the milk company, was an example of sustainability. Generating new products, generating sustainable business models matter a lot. And when you are working, the operational efficiency, the transportation optimization, and the energy efficiency, all of those factors are really important in the supply chain of your works. So those factors contribute us to produce in the optimum manner and minimize the waste. In terms of sustainability, we are doing a lot of activities. In 2011, we undersigned the global principles of the sustainability, the global principles agreement of the sustainability. After undersigning this agreement, starting from 2009, we are publishing our sustainability reports, and we have improvement studies for the operational cost and the operational efficiency. And as a result of those studies, we are calculating and assessing the savings that we have had. We are conducting efficiency studies on 5 important topics. We started to assess our carbon footprint, and we gave trainings for calculating carbon footprints to our 11 companies, and we set some targets in order to reduce the carbon footprints of our companies. Our first target was to decrease the carbon footprint by 15%, but we found out that our carbon footprint can be reduced 78.6% only this year. In order to provide the water efficiency, we started to do our calculations, and based on those calculations, we are reporting our water efficiencies. Transportation optimization is also an important area of us, because the transportation is quite essential for the usages of the oil, and our SAP system was utilized through an information system that has been established in 1995, and the distribution and the transportation optimization is started to be realized for the deliveries between different cities. And when we are opening a new production facilities, we are always considering solutions to the problems of such efficiency matters. We will open a new facility in Çamlıca, and this new facility will contribute a lot to us in terms of sustainability, because it will cause us to save from oil and energy usages. Of course, while I'm giving you those examples, I also would like to speak about the case studies that we have done so far. Apart from all of those, we do not forget our social responsibilities, and we are working on our social responsibilities by doing some activities. Over 50 years, Karşıyaka Sport Club is supported by our founder, and in this year, this club won a lot of trophies, and we are organizing competition like the children's painting, the picture competitions, and etc. Our companies are being governed through the corporate governance principle, and in terms of corporate sustainability, I believe we are an important example in Turkey. Long story short, on behalf of Yaşar Holding, I can say that sustainability is one of our main strategies, and with long-term strategies, our holding, our group, is doing those sustainability activities. Thank you very much.
İdil Hanım, teşekkür ediyoruz.
We thank you, Ms. İdil. Now we will go on with Ms. Cansen. She's going to talk about the sustainability approach of TÜSİAD. If we go back to the title of the session itself, it is obvious that it requires a wide perspective. What was the title? The Sustainability Agenda of a Leader. Thinking about it, I think anything we have discussed so far could be lined up under this title. In this sense, maybe being a part of this session as the chair of the board of TÜSİAD is quite important. I believe that sustainability may be categorized by our panelists and TÜSİAD members in two different categories, because first off we have corporate sustainability, and secondly we have social and environmental sustainability. Panelists have already been touching these aspects of it for their own behalf. But if we go on to TÜSİAD side, it is a non-governmental organization which is 44 years old. And what have we been doing all this time to be still surviving as an NGO? Let me first clarify that. We were founded in 1971, and our primary goal was to independently represent the voice of the business world. We have 600 members, but it is not only 600 people we are talking about here. It is actually a huge group of members. You need to multiply 600 with the average number of a corporation to get the final number on that. When I represent such an organization with huge accountability, I instantly think about being able to serve all these people. So we need a wider scope of sustainability in TÜSİAD. How do we do it? We utilize international networks. 5 actually headquarters are based in Washington, Brussels, Paris, Berlin, and Beijing, China. This means we are not confining ourselves only to the local borders, but we are also aspiring to monitor abroad. As a matter of fact, leadership needs to be the basis under sustainability, but what kind of leadership? All researchers indicate that successful leaders should be inspiring, guiding, questioning, and motivating people who can manage this at all levels. Therefore, if we are a leadership non-governmental organization, those are applicable for us to guiding, inspiring, which is tough thing to do beyond daily agendas, questioning. These should be the qualities we have. We are not a questioning society due to our education system, and we have to motivate as a leader at all levels. Therefore, in order to become a sustainable leader or organization, these are musts. So starting that from that point, we may take a look at 4 main items on leadership agendas all around the world. Valuable panelists have already mentioned some of them. So, as a reference, I would like to take a look at the agendas of OECD, the World Bank, and similar large-scale institutions. When I came here, actually prior to being invited, we were charged with the task of channeling our resources to the accurate points, and there are 4 items in our agenda and agendas of large-scale institutions. First, inequality in distribution of income. Also, I would like to add that since 2012, we have been engaging in the World Economic Forum, and this point has been a primary topic discussed. Second important item in the agenda, you may know from yesterday, is the digital economy and the changes it offers. I am quite happy to have listened to the presentations and panels yesterday. in that sense, because many of our corporations have already gained awareness. And the third issue is climate change. Mr. Bülent Eczacıbaşı has already summarized what a big threat it was. He has a precise perspective about the urgency of the topic, and TÜSİAD has this item on its agenda too. But maybe more important than all of these three, we have global governance. We know that nowadays all of these problems we are experiencing stem from poor governance in the past. And in this new world, we are questioning that governance. I will go back to comprehensive growth and what TÜSİAD does in this sense. First of all, let us repeat this all together, that the business world revolves around high levels of motivation. This is correct. Mr. Babacan underlined some reforms we require in order to expand our growth capacity. I think we all realized that even though you are growing fast and uninterruptedly, if you are leaving people and segments of the society out, that growth cannot be sustainable. So our growth has to be inclusive. In that sense, the award ceremony we had a moment ago was meaningful because it was about participation of women in the business world. And I myself, as a chairman, first contacted the press on the 8th of March on the Women's Day, and it was a significant step for me too. If I take a look at the past efforts of TÜSİAD in the last 10 years, I can realize that we have been touching that issue too. Participation in employment, education, and rising to promoted levels and so on. These were points we have had touched as an NGO. Coach Holding has a nice initiative called He for She, and I thought about TÜSİAD as part of that initiative too, because it is a men's problem that women are not taking part in the business world. As an NGO, maybe we should keep on working until everyone embraces the problem. This is the message I can see in our reports. We have some of our members among the audience. They might criticize us for issuing too many reports from time to time, and we will also prioritize some reports too. Also, distribution of income is a problem for our association, our NGO. The growth rate of SMEs are stalling, and we want to address that issue. And I will consider this a tip for the next years about TÜSİAD's agenda. All of these issues we have been discussing needs to involve participation of youngsters too. Leaders like us who are above the age of 50 are working for the next generations actually, and TÜSİAD realizes this. In that sense, we collaborate with youth clubs in universities. They may be business administration clubs, leadership clubs, or innovation clubs. We want to integrate them and their activities to TÜSİAD. So in the years to come, youngsters will be hand to hand with us because we are working in order to give them a sustainable life and social society, civil society. I will go back to that topic later but I'm leaving that aside right now. So when we are talking about sustainability, we may want to talk about entrepreneurship too, because we believe that entrepreneurship is a good channel of having young people in your sustainability agenda. And we have a project for that actually, which is titled The Youth Can Work It Out. So in the economical sense, entrepreneurship should not mean wasting resources. It should be led in a smarter manner, channeled into accurate and precise areas, and this is the leader's duty. Yesterday's sessions were mainly on digitalized economy, and for that reason, I won't talk about our past activities but future plans. In the next years, we will be concentrating on big data. There is already a great deal of data which still needs to be analyzed for sustainability and environmental struggles. It could also be used for improvement of the healthcare system and enhancing food safety. Also, an intelligent, a smart transportation system can be thought of within this scope. And now I will say a few words about climate change and leave the floor to other colleagues. Mr. Bülent internalizes the issue, as can be understood from his words. I wish all of our leaders did the same. In this sense, I want to repeat his invitation. The year 2015 is going to be a year for critical decisions shaping our future. In this context, through the mediation of our members, we are going to remind you about this issue again and again on every occasion. As for sustainable development, some of the leaders present here have already mentioned it, and I want to share statistical data about it with you. Accenture made a global research and concluded that 84% of CEOs do not believe that a sustainable world is possible without the efforts of the business leaders. This is a correct determination, and we believe that we have a part to play in that. Thank you. Thank you, dear Chair. Let's start with Mr. Bülent with the second round of questions. You wanted to tell more in the beginning but stopped to not overuse time. Do you have any concrete results to share with us and impacts of these consequences on your companies? Thank you, dear moderator. The sensitivity about sustainability stems from the fact that there are new conditions arising in the business world, and we should be aware of that very well. Sustainability needs to be taken into consideration from social, environmental, and other perspectives. As a result of this sensitivity, there are markets emerging for sustainable products and services, creating new grounds for entrepreneurs. Factors that are closely related to sustainability are now being referenced to in different areas like human rights, waste management, and so on. Corporations do the same in their own processes, especially corporations which are trading with Europe continue to feel the magnitude. And I would like to make a reference to the Paris summit again. If this summit this next year's summit becomes successful, global trade is going to change fundamentally, and applications like green labels are going to be widespread. There will be obligations to abide by, and multinational companies operating abroad should be prepared for any possible consequences. So what do we do and what should we do about sustainability? A lot can be said, as a matter of fact, but I will only mention some important points. First of all, we should not forget that sustainability requires long-term precautions. This is why the board of directors should be involved in managing it, because sustainability decisions are wide-scale decisions, and these have to be handed to the correct people who can make accurate decisions. And boards of directors, in addition to making decisions, should establish a corporate culture that is intertwined with sustainability, and this is one of the primary things we are trying to do. Some organizational changes are needed within the scope of sustainability, and a senior management may be charged for sustainability exclusively. This senior manager should be directly connected to the CEO and reporting to him. As corporate issues are directly connected to sustainability, you can have such a position in your company. We believe that the results will be fine, as can be seen in our example. An important point I want to highlight is that national sustainability plays an important role in macro performance. If in your country you have a perspective focused on low carbon economy, your corporations will also follow the same route down the way. There are good examples among developed countries, such as Germany from Europe, or emerging countries like Chile and Morocco. Chile, for example, in 2014 increased its solar energy consumption by 24 times, and Morocco made 6 times more investment in solar energy in 2014 in a similar way. Turkey may be listed among those examples, become a pioneering country if it adopts a low carbon economy approach of development, with the influence of increasing scale of investments, speeding up our development and growth rate, and becoming a leading nation are still possible for Turkey. There is this anecdote where two planets are talking to each other. Planet 1 says, "In recent years I have been feeling strangely on my surface. There are these creatures called humans, which have been reproducing furiously." Planet 2 says, "Don't worry, that happens from time to time. These creatures called humans appear, they reproduce, and then they eventually bring their own doom upon them." So if we cannot take the steps expected from us, that is going to be the result we will end up in. Our Earth will continue its journey in space without us. This is the end of my speech.
Agah Bey ilk
Mr. Agah, you actually made a good summary in the first round. I can say a couple of things in this round. I would like to proceed with the internalization. Because if you internalize something, you are focusing on it. If you are focusing on it, then you are putting and exerting a lot of energy. And where there is energy, there is life. And this is the most important factor. Are we internalizing it or not? And internalization comes from two resources. Either you have to internalize it or you desire for internalization. Especially in the big institutes like us, it is not easy for your employees to desire for such an internalization. Sometimes you have to dictate an internalization of something to your employees. In terms of sustainability, we believe that that is an obligation. I hope that this Borusan holding will be living for more years, but we would like to be remembered with two words, both on the side of community or from our suppliers. People should remember us with two words. This is a beneficial and successful company. When you add the beneficial company, then it changes the whole picture. I mean, the entrepreneurs are existed for success, but being beneficial to your employees, to your suppliers, to your community, that is something different. And this is really important for sustainability as well. And being a role model for the corporate governance, being a role model for the social responsibility projects, it really nourishes the title of beneficial company. Just take a look to the youth population. There is a huge trend, which is even bigger in the Western world. The community gives more importance to the companies which are beneficial to the society. Right now, it is important. It is important to buy those products from there. If you have the title of beneficial company, then your permanency in the market will be established. I believe becoming a beneficial company will be essential, and I convince our shareholders and also our employees to become the members of the beneficial company, because it is the interest of the Borusan holding. It of course brings economic advantage with it, because you will use utilities, yes, and when you use utilities less, your costs will be reduced. And you are starting to question yourselves whether you can produce something on the ecological environment. So this consciousness is disseminating through different wavelengths in your own company. It is not important to become successful only, but it is also important to be a beneficial company. That's all what I would like to say. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Sani, we would like to continue with you. I would like to add one more thing, what has been said by Mr. Agah. It is not possible to assess the success of the companies with their financial profits if those financial profits are not coupled with the social benefits. Then it is not a total success. The investors think it like that, and the community thinks it like that. I mean, you have to be financially successful, but in terms of the commercial ethics, you have to be socially responsible. You cannot abuse the rights of your employees. If you are damaging the environment in order to make money, then you cannot have the sustainable success. And we are one of the companies who believe in this. For the company management, in terms of having a sustainable environment, we have an approach. We have partners, we have stakeholders, and the CEO are trying to provide a communication and balance between our stakeholders and partners. For example, the people who are traveling or our employees, the subcontracting companies, are stakeholders. And we have partners. Who are partners? We have some partners, the founding partners indeed, and we have some partners who cannot be represented in the executive committee because there are some investors coming from the public. As you all know, TAV was opened to public by 50% because there are some companies from Saudi Arabia, Canada, Australia, and the USA who invested in our company, and you have to protect their rights. And the half of the investors wants the dividends to be distributed, but the 50% of the partners would like the company to grow. But the customers says that why are you actually distributing dividends? You should invest on the toilets and etc. So there are many different demands, and we are trying to manage this system. This is called complex management system. There are different systems which are hindering each other, but at the same time they are complementing each other. If you can manage this complex system, the sustainability will be established in your country. We attended to an airport conference. There is ECI World. I am also a member of the executive committee of this international airport association. In one of its conference, I attended as a speaker, and I was speaking that the travel through air will be increasing, and a Boeing company, for example, says that the number of the travelers will increase. The airport users, the airplane users will be increasing in the future. And at the same time, the aviation authorities are taught to be invested less. I was making such a speech. After me, there is a futurist speaker, and the futurist speaker said to me that, okay, the aviation sector will be improving, but if the climate change is going on like this, because of the turbulence, you will not be able to actually use those airplanes. And this is a reality. For example, in Istanbul, in the last couple of years, unfortunately, we came up with a whirlwind. I mean, in the whole history of the Istanbul, we couldn't see whirlwind. In terms of sustainability, you should make the negative things and turn them into positive. There is a physicist, Mission Kakune, who actually established the string theory, and this guy is actually writing down the future 100 years, and this man is just explaining what has been done on the labs of the universities. I read this book 4 years ago, and I knew that the Google glasses will be launched in Turkey, and right now they will be proceeding with the lenses, and they will not be using the Google glasses but the Google lenses. And he says that 4 years later there will be no doctors, just one chip will provide you the necessary health care that you need. If we can manage the future, if we can turn the negative issues into positive, then we can actually manage our company and we can protect our planet. Thank you. Of course, Mr. Sani has such an intellectual accumulation. We are truly enlightened with what you said. Ms. Idil, would you like to say something more? In the food sector especially, we see the natural resources are deteriorated very easily. Unfortunately, the shelf lives of the products are decreasing, and we are working in such a sector. And while we are producing those natural resources, those foods, we should first of all prevent the waste. I believe prevention of the waste will be the most important thing for sustainability in the food sector, because we all know that there are many people who are going to their beds hungry. I mean, the deterioration or the fruits which are going bad cannot be explained, cannot be understood, and these are truly important for the sustainability, and these are just the indicators of the importance of the sustainability. Within that regard, we are working with our customers for zero returns. We try to make our packages small in accordance with our customers. Let me give you a concrete example. We have a product which can be translated as open the package and finish it. This is a very small size packaged product. While we are doing this, we are giving trainings to our producers to improve the quality of their products. Last year we provided trainings for 4,000 milk producers, and together with customers we desire for a zero return and zero stock, and in 2015 we will focus on these issues, and in terms of sustainability we will focus on the prevention of the waste of our natural resources. That is our desire for 2015. And in order to do this, we established a committee for preventing waste in order to proceed those activities in a systematic manner. In addition to all of those, we are also aiming to reduce the energy uses, and I believe the production companies should lean on that. In order to do this, we use new technologies and we are collaborating with the transportation companies. Sustainability is an issue which has to be discussed and taught on the longer term, because there might be many different perspectives with regards to sustainability. The calculation of the sustainability and the efficiency should be done, and the efficiency should be monitored all the time, and for doing this all companies have a lot of things to do. I believe that generating new products are really important, and the research and development departments should focus on sustainability issues while they are producing new products. And with the mission and the motto of a healthier life, a much more livable environment, we are trying to present a better life for the next generation, and in order to do this we are trying to prevent the waste, and we are providing high quality products for the next generation. Thank you. Before concluding this session, I would like to pass the microphone to Ms. Cansen. The business world is not as rich as having no responsibility. We are embracing the sustainability because we are trying to provide a benefit to the society, but at the same time we are trying to use our natural resources. We have 6 minutes left.
Öneriyorum. Biraz bu küresel yönetişim. Sizlerden de bir iki.
This is all about corporate governance. Maybe I would like to receive some of your feedbacks, and then we can conclude our session. With regards to corporate governance, I would like to speak about global crisis. After the global crisis, the trust on the institutes have not been established still. Maybe we can actually make reference to the opening speech of this summit, because we are discussing about many things, but as the Deputy Prime Minister said that in economy we are actually playing lottery, because anything can happen in the global economy, because providing the global coordination is quite challenging. So actually the old systems are dying, but the new systems are not born. If the new systems are not born, then the dying process of the old is delayed. Right now, we are in need of coordination and collaboration in the global economy. I cannot, of course, put the blame to certain institutes, but we should first of all ask ourselves whether we are collaborating or cooperating with each other. I really think that the rotating presidency of Turkey in the G20 matters a lot, because Turkey is trying a lot to realize the issues which has come to consensus in the global sense. During the presidency of Turkey in the G20, we conducted a couple of studies so far as Turkish Industrialist and the Businessman Association, and we try to find out some obstacles for sustainability, and hopefully during the presidency of G20 these issues, these challenges will be tackled thoroughly. Right now I would like to receive your feedbacks on two topics. In this room there is a concept which is called Global Compact. Since Global Compact started to do activities in Turkey, how many people know that the TÜSİAD is the General Secretary of Global Compact? Not many. Not many. Then maybe we should improve our communicational skills, because we are actually the host of Global Compact in Turkey, and the Millennium Development Goals are due this year, and from now on we will continue with the Sustainable Development Goals, and through those process, unfortunately, we will not be able to share how much contribution we could provide to the humanity on behalf of the Turkish Industrialist and the Businessman Association. And I will make the use of this digital technology for such communications as possible as I can. Last, I would like to understand your feedback. We said that this is the period of cooperation and collaboration. during this period, in order to make use of all the resources in the optimum manner, we believe that the NGOs should also take part, because I know that our friends are also working in the NGOs with different hats, and I am also working as in an NGO, Yaşar, and I found out that the projects of the business world are also matching with the projects of the NGOs. So those projects will be coupled with each other. Of course, we are in need of some different stakeholders to take the responsibility, and we negotiate and communicate with those different stakeholders. We are different from each other, but on the common ground we will generate new projects, hopefully together with ISO, I mean the Istanbul Chamber of Industry, and also the NGO of Yaşar. In such associations we will cooperate together. Further, with that NGO, we will have cooperation and collaboration. So in our congratulation meetings, everybody was declaring their projects, and this is how we have collaborated. With regards to youth population, I believe we should also collaborate with the universities, and we have a project for the collaboration with the universities, but we are looking for a name of that project. I would not like to use the cliché titles like actually the youth of the future. I really would like you to share the title of the project, which comprises a collaboration with the universities. If you can come up with an extraordinary title for our projects, we will really be glad. I came here after the general board meeting of the Turkish Industrialist and Businessman Association, and I thought that maybe if somebody can come up with a name and title for my project, I will be glad. So from now on, I hope that you will be following our activities. Thank you very much.
Evet sayın dinleyiciler, Türkiye'deki
Distinguished participants, distinguished audience, we listened to the ideas of important businessmen about the sustainability altogether. I really benefited from it, and I am sure you also benefited from it. Embracing the sustainability is of course important for the Turkey, and we will have an optimistic perspective for the future. I would like to thank all of the speakers for their enlightening speeches.
Çok teşekkür ediyoruz.
Thank you very much to all of our panelists and to our moderator.